Hello, witches, and welcome back to the Witchin Sisters. We are episode 5 today. I'm super
Yes. Wow.
excited. Um, we are here to discussing how being a witch means living in this world consciously, powerfully, and unapologetically. And today we're going to be touching on the topic of energetic hygiene and how important that is to use on a daily basis, so that you're not taking on other people's energy, and so that you're also not trying to like micromanage the energy of the world around you as well. So I'm Shalon and this is Shannon, and I'm going to actually ask Shannon to create sacred space for us and set intentions before we dive on into our conversation.
All right. Thank you, Shalon. So today I just want to call and put my hands together here. Hmm. Today I would just like to call on the Ascended Masters. I would like to call on our spirit guides and our ancestors to be with us today, making space for new horizons for everybody involved when it comes to learning, growing, and expanding our consciousness. Taking a deep cleansing breath and exhale. And just thanking everybody for being with us today with an open mind and an open heart. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
So actually, I'm glad that you directed us to take a deep breath in and sigh out, because that's one of the ways that I love to work with my clients in energetic clearing is through breath.
Yes.
Right. And it's amazing actually how powerful our breath can be with like clearing and releasing and cleansing. And just if you're feeling like, I don't know, overwhelmed or whatever, like to just breathe into the space where you're feeling that and intentionally setting to just like release that and breathe it out. I don't know if you've ever used that
Right.
before or.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of it's not like one that I use very often, but obviously like being a Reiki master and teacher, um, I do like the smoke cleanse and everything usually when I start and open close sessions, but breath work is definitely something that I do in the midst of doing my energy healing as well.
Mhm.
But breath work is too like a great way to do energy clearing when you don't have other ways to cleanse your energy when you're on the go or out and about or in a certain situation where you just don't have access to smoke or other cleansing tools like a music bowl, a sound bowl, singing bowls that can clear and rebalance your energies. So I think, definitely doing the breath work is a great way to start a practice in moments where you kind of need it on the spot too.
Absolutely. Well, and it brings you back to your center, and it's like just setting the intention of what you're wanting to let go of too, right? And I feel
Hmm.
like making even just like an audible like like to sigh to release it is very powerful on its own, because like even I was just teaching light language today, and how like sound can be cleansing and clearing and releasing as well, right? There's so many different tools that we have accessible to us, that we're able to use. And those are like, you already tapped on a few of those, like with smoke and smudging. Like I love using sage. Like I love using
Hmm.
sage for
Yeah.
clearing. But there's like how many other things, like there's sage, there's Palo Santo, there's like
Incense.
different forms of incense, yeah, like that you can use for smoke clearing and whatever else. But um I also like working with the elements. Like I feel like just going outside and standing in the wind and letting it like blow everything off of you is like
Oh, I
powerful,
love that. Yes.
right?
I love that too.
Just
Hmm.
like letting it blow everything away.
Yes.
But that's like, I guess that's one thing is like witches though, is that we do use the elements in order to assist us in what we're wanting to use, right? So
Yeah.
smoke, fire, like cleansing and clearing fire, right? um one thing that I've really been called to do lately, and I've been like directing like lots of my clients to do, is like burning things, like writing things down on a piece of paper and then burning them is
Hmm.
so releasing in itself. Like it's just you can feel this big shift and this big like weight lifted. Like if you feel like you haven't been able to like release something or let it go, and you're like carrying that weight and carrying that baggage and whatever, like I find just like writing it out, sometimes writing it out in a journal or on a piece of paper just isn't enough. It's like,
Oh,
and
for sure.
maybe it's the fire sign in me, but I love to burn things. So like I love to burn things. Like it's the transmutation of energy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Transmuting what was into something else, right? So
Yeah, it's such a big release though too.
it is.
Like it's
Yeah,
a
just
physical
burning it all
release
away.
of it.
Burning it all away, right? Um,
Hmm.
and I think also just like watching the flames, like in itself, is very like cleansing, clearing. Like even just watching like a
And
candle burn. Like
therapeutic.
I have candles burning all the time with me everywhere around the house when I carry them with me. I know. But like
You
I
carry
said,
them like an old lady times, like with the old times with the
the other,
candlestick. That's so
literally
funny.
from one room to the other, because they're like, it's calming and soothing and relaxing for me, right? Just to have the candle
Yeah,
burn, to
absolutely.
see the flame, to all of it, right? So yeah, that's like it's one of my little things that I started doing lately. Um, but water, like water cleansing. I don't know. Epsom salts baths are amazing for cleansing and clearing your energy,
Yeah,
right?
I actually use water when I do my Reiki sessions and stuff. At the end of my session, before like once my I'm done doing the work and I've closed everything down, I'll like tap my client on the shoulder just to let them know that I'm finished and to like slowly bring themselves back to the space. And then I remove myself from the space and I go wash my hands. And that to me, because when I start my sessions, I'm connecting energetically to your center. So once I'm done and I disconnect my energy from your center, what I like to do is, like I said, go to the bathroom and I'll wash my hands with water, um, just to like break that tie, that energetic tie to my clients, so that I'm not carrying any like attachments to them at all. Like it's just, and sometimes I'll even, if it's like a really heavy session, my favorite witchy thing to do is to use salt, actually.
Yeah.
Salt is an amazing way to cleanse yourself, protect yourself. It's great for protection, but it's also great for cleansing and clearing things. So a lot of times you can place your crystals in that too, or whatever. But yeah, like one of the things that I use is water and a little bit of salt in my hands to clear any sort of attachments that might be lingering after closing down a session.
Yeah. No,
But
like
baths is the way to go.
with, with Epsom salts, right? Like full body immersion, like cleansing everything, right?
Yeah.
I also really love, like, I'm glad that you talked about the washing your hands and stuff, because I think it's also very important that like after you've been out in public to do that, like when you
Hmm.
get home, because you've been touching everything, you've been like around other people and whatnot. So like to come home and like
Right.
wash your hands right away. Also like showers in general,
Oh
lots of
yeah,
times.
for
You
sure.
have meditative showers where you literally visualize the water coming and just like washing off
Yeah,
whatever
I
is
love doing that.
carrying down the drain, right? Um, Not to mention working with the elements, but like going out into thunderstorms in itself
Yes, I was
is
just gonna
great.
say that.
Yeah,
Go standing
very
in the rain
cleansing.
and like just
Mhm.
allowing it to just like pour down over you, and you just like intentionally, like if you were having a shower, just like visualizing everything just like flowing down and flowing
Yeah,
away and being
down the
returned
drain.
to the earth. That's the best part
Mhm.
about doing a
Yes.
rainstorm, because you're literally returning that energy to be
Yeah.
transmuted back to the earth, and then like clearing, and you're also connected to the earth. If you go outside and you want to be in your bare feet, like that's even better. Just don't
Mhm.
get struck by lightning, okay?
Yeah. Well, but like you said, being connected to the earth, grounding in itself is very cleansing and clearing. Like just the electrons and everything from Mother Gaia and the earth, just like takes everything away. Like it just takes
Oh, for
everything
sure.
away. And that's why I always love to just be like flat on the earth. Like I always feel like I have to be in everything. I have to be one with everything. Like, just, I don't know. That's just how
Yeah.
I
No,
am.
even just going out into the forest and into the trees and into nature can be also so cleansing and clearing for your mind, body, and soul.
Yep.
And in our society, I don't think we spend enough time out in nature doing those types of things. And these are just more accessible ways for anybody to be able to cleanse and clear. And I think that's the important part here because, yes, you can buy sage, you can buy Palo Santo, you can buy incense, you can get a singing bowl, and all of these things. But at the end of the day, the natural practices are just as effective.
Hmm.
Like doing things, you don't have to have all of these different tools to practice energetic um, energetic cleansing and just like being able to start your practice without having all the special items to do so. And that it's, accessible to absolutely any person. Anybody can have a shower or a bath. And like in the shower, like you had said, like just the visualizing of everything being washed away and cleansed away, or like sitting in a bath with the Epsom salts and other different things. Even if you don't have any of those things, Epsom salts or whatever, it's again just visualizing sitting in the water and everything being released into the water. And my favorite thing to do is like when you're in the bath is once you're about to drain the tub, stay in the tub. Don't just push the drain and pull the drain and get out of the water. Stay in the water and allow yourself to feel the water draining off of your body. And I know it gets a little chilly, okay? It's okay, you'll be fine. Just allow it to like drain down the drain and visualize it literally just like drawing all of the negativity, all of the sadness, all of the stress, anxiety, whatever it is that you need to release, and visualize all of that going down the drain. And again, visualizing that going down the drain and being transmuted into the earth again and cleansed by the earth energy,
Hmm.
and then allow yourself to get out and like feeling so much more vibrant and refreshed. I do
Absolutely.
every time. Like I feel so vibrant and refreshed after doing like I call them like my sacred baths or
Hmm.
my goddess
Hmm.
baths. But like allowing that and having that visual of that draining off of you is so powerful.
Yeah, it is. And I'm glad that you touched on the fact that it's like we have like as witches, I feel like just using the tools that we already have, not being like, oh, I have to
Yep.
go buy this and I have to like having a grocery list of stuff that you need to get in order to be a witch. No, everybody has water, everybody has salt, everybody has like whatever, right?
Yep.
And like make I love to use I make my own rose water and my cleansing rose spray. I add salt to it and I spritz myself with it in between clients because working with
Yeah.
clients, as we know, we pick up on things with just being out in public. I actually
Hmm.
encourage people to have a cleansing spray with them. And I was
Yeah.
just actually talking this morning with my light language group. I said, how often do you go out um just driving and you can be like the calmest person in the world, have no problems with road rage, but all of a sudden you're like swearing and wanting to give somebody the finger. And in reality, I'm like, is that even yours? Or
Right.
is it like some other driver that you passed who's like losing their mind today and you just picked up on their energy? Right. And so, like,
Yeah.
even like energetically, putting a bubble around yourself in your vehicle, right? So that you're not taking on other people's stuff when you're out in the world. Because that in itself, when you go out and pick that up and then bring it home with you, and you wonder what's going on with your environment and why am I so tired and why am I so bitchy and why am I so
Hmm.
like whatever, right? Like, is this even yours? Is this even yours?
Right.
Right? And
Yeah.
actually, Shannon, you're the one you mentioned, or you're the one who mentioned earlier. You're like, because I use muscle testing lots, and anybody can muscle test, right? And so it's like, I ask myself all the time, I'm like, is this mine or is it not? And you can muscle test that, right? And seeing, for yes or no. Some people like to use pendulums. I love using pendulums for
Well,
clearing.
especially if you're practicing and you're coming into this, you're not really fully in touch with your own intuition and like you trusting what is coming through.
Mhm.
That's a great practice to have to really start believing, in yourself and your
Mhm.
own intuition too, right? And
Yeah.
yes, you're asking questions, but it's more so about like what's the feeling that I'm having? Like you're saying, what's the feeling? Is this mine? Is it not mine? And doing the muscle testing, and then you find out like, yes, it is, or yes, it isn't. Like that's a practice you can do to really start trusting, being like, oh, I knew that wasn't mine. I just had a feeling that wasn't mine today.
Hmm.
And a lot of people don't realize that they have anxiety, right? So a lot of like I know for me, like I struggled with anxiety a lot before I started in my spiritual journey. And I didn't realize until I started my spiritual journey that a lot of the anxiety that I was having wasn't mine. And I
Yeah.
didn't know that. I didn't know that I was so empathic that I was sensing, feeling, and actually like going like feel like physically feeling what other people were going through, right? And so I didn't have tools at that time, and it wasn't until I got the tools, like you're saying with the muscle testing and things like that, where I really start to trust, like, oh, that's not mine. And so over time, using that practice, like you really start to know the difference between what's your feeling, what's somebody else's feeling that you're carrying, or that you've somehow picked up along your day.
Hmm. Well, um, when you were talking about, oh my gosh, when you were talking about, is this mine? If you're going about your day and everything's perfectly fine, and all of a sudden you're like hit with like needing to cry, or like hypothetically, your kids come home from school and everything's great, and all of a sudden it's like, why am I so grouchy all of a sudden? Like, that's very well
Yes.
their energy that you're picking up on. And as like, if you identify as being an empath, you pick up on a lot of other people's energy all the time. That's also
Mhm.
another reason why it's very important to protect your energy and cleanse your aura, cleanse your energy space, and do like regular upkeep for energy so that you're not picking up on everybody's stuff all the time.
And that's why that's why it's called energetic hygiene,
Yeah.
because it is the same as um, anything else, like showering, brushing your teeth, washing your clothes, brushing your hair. It's like the small things that you do to keep yourself together and aligned, right?
Mhm.
And I think what you had also said earlier about protecting your energy with the bubble, right? So that's part of energetic hygiene as well. It's not just about cleansing and clearing, right? It's also about protecting your energy and setting up boundaries for yourself ahead of time so that you're not just willy-nilly walking out into the world and then you're constantly accumulating other people's stuff. So if you do that practice and you get into um, the practice of setting the intention of, some people use the bubble, some people um, use like a ball of light, and like there's different ways to do it, but setting that intention to protect your energy before you go into public spaces or go to work, or even if you're going to a family function. We all know
Mm.
some of us have some families where it's a little more difficult to be a participant. So we need to protect ourselves before and our energy before we go in, because we do have people, we all have one or two people in our lives, in our past, present, and maybe future, that you need to protect your energy from them. And it's not so much that they're bad people, it's just that they have not been in a space to um, know that they're projecting, right? Either. And so, going into it, like every time I go for Thanksgiving, which is, we just went through, and like Christmas is coming up for us, and then any like Americans, you have Thanksgiving coming up. So it's like, going, it's like I always feel drained when I leave. I always feel like crap when I leave. I feel anxious before I even get there. Well, though, that's a perfect time for you to practice energetic hygiene by taking care of yourself so you can cleanse and clear your own energy before going, because maybe you're the problem. Who knows? Okay, we're not all perfect. We're not all perfect. Okay? So you could practice that as well, like cleansing and clear, making sure you're in a good headspace and a clear headspace too before you enter any spaces, so you're not imprinting on anybody else, right? Why are you laughing? It's funny, it's true. It's so true.
So
Sometimes
funny.
we're the
So true.
problem.
Maybe you're the problem. Like, yeah, maybe I am the problem. Maybe I need to like check myself before I leave the house, right?
Right?
But
Yeah,
when we were
sometimes it's
talking
us.
about
Sometimes it's
being,
us. We all
yeah,
have bad days.
exactly. And it's okay to have a bad day. But when you were saying about like, yeah, before you leave the house, doing the energetic bubble and making it like a part of your routine, like as you put your shoes on to leave the house, right? So like maybe
Yeah.
when you're putting your shoes on, think about like
To protect your
putting
feet.
on your energetic bubble, right? Like
Yes.
put on
Yes,
your energetic
exactly.
bubble as well. When you're putting on your coat, you're putting on your energetic bubble. Like I don't know, right?
You know what?
Whatever
That's actually
you
kind of
do.
cool when you think about it, though, Shalon. Like what you just said was kind of inspiring. You could literally, just like we were talking about the shower being a cleansing,
Mhm.
when you're putting on your shoes or you're putting on your jacket or even your clothes for the day, you can set
Those
the
are your
intention
energetic
that these are protective,
bubble.
right? And it's like a shield. So you could
Hmm.
say be like setting that intention that your coat is a shield or that your sweater is a shield. Oh my God, that just came to me, enlightenment thing. Like that's really kind of interesting. I love that thought.
Came to me too.
Sorry, I just thought of it. I had to say it.
Because this is all intuitively guided. So
Right.
we actually I want to make a point though about when you're setting your intentions for your energetic bubble, that it still allows good things to enter. You don't want it to be
Absolutely.
reflecting everything, right? You still want
Right.
good things to be able to enter and anything negative to just be bounce off or leave or whatever, right? One
Hmm.
thing that I love to do, and like we can touch on this a little bit as well, because I think lots of people love crystals and are drawn to crystals, right? And there's different crystals that help with energy protection and whatever else. But I love um, using my jewelry. Like I wear
Oh,
my rings, these two rings all the time.
yes, me
They're,
too.
these are my
Hmm.
energy protection rings. Like I have like, set the intention. I've
Hmm.
done the energy work for them and whatever else they probably need to be cleared. They should throw them in some salt, but um yeah, and like I love using my jewelry, my necklaces, my whatever it is, and like even when you're putting those on during the day, setting the intention that it's like this is my energetic protection. Like, and I think this is tiger's eye. I think it is actually for energetic as well, protection or whatever. So
Hmm.
um
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know
black
offhand.
tourmaline is a great one as
Right.
well. Like a
Yes.
lot of
Yeah.
people use black tourmaline to protect
Hmm.
your home or your spaces, but to carry with you in case you're going to be around people um, that might be, or any sort of situation or public space that might be a little bit intense. Black tourmaline is like a really good one too.
Hmm. So, like, let's actually touch base on that with the whole energetic protection, energetic clearing of your home, right? Because, like, you can't always control what people are bringing into your home when they come visit you,
Right.
right? Like, working
Hmm.
with clients, you and I both know
Well,
clients
we both work with
all the
clients and
time,
we
right?
both work from our home.
Mhm.
So,
And so they sometimes bring shit into our house, and that's why it's
yeah,
really important for us to be cleansing and clearing our space all the time. But I have
yes.
lots of people ask me, they're like, how do I do this? How do I cleanse my house? How do I do this? Right. And I, like I said, love to use sage. I'm a sage girl. I know you said I think you prefer Palo Santo.
Yeah. Yeah, I use sage too, but Palo Santo, I don't know what it is about the smell, that woody, like it's just so beautiful and flower, and I just love the scent of it. It's just like my favorite smell ever.
So funny that you say that, because for me, and I'm sure everybody to each their own for everything, right?
Yeah.
Because I love the smell of sage, but when I got like the essential oils for Palo Santo, could not, did not like it. It was like, it literally kind of made me nauseous. But to
Mm.
burn Palo Santo, no
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. And some people actually might not know what Palo Santo is, so most people know what sage is, but this is Palo Santo, okay?
Yeah.
So it's already
It,
burned, but it's a piece of wood, basically. And they come in little chunks like this. You can get them at any like metaphysical shop, crystal store, or whatever. It doesn't, but the other reason why I like it is it doesn't burn as strongly as sage does. So sage can let off a lot of smoke. So some people like they don't want to fill their space. They don't smoke in their house, like things like that. Like that's why I also like it too, for because it just doesn't let off a lot of smoke. It's just like a little more softer, gentler. But what they say actually is Palo Santo is best used for a lot more intense negative energies. So if you are dealing with like more intense negative energies, darker energies, things like that, Palo Santo is great for that. So if you haven't seen Palo Santo before, this is kind of what it looks like.
I have mine here
Yeah.
too. and I was just like
And
burning
it smells
like so
amazing.
teeny tiny. Um, do you know what's really funny is like I'm going to tell this little story, and I was like, I'm just like, oh, hopefully my dad's not going to care. But I was doing some clearing, and my dad he's very religious, right? And that's absolutely fine. I was raised Catholic, and and it's whatever, right? Um, and I was doing clearing with my Palo Santo the one day. I was clearing this mattress before we hauled it out for somebody else or whatever, and he was like, "What is that?" And I told him, I was like, "It's Palo Santo," because I'm not sure how open he is about this whole, me being a witchy thing. Um, but and I said to him, I was like, "It's called the Holy Wood, Dad." And then he was like,
Right.
"Oh, okay." Like then it was acceptable. It was fine. Like
Right.
which
It's
I
like,
thought was like
okay.
the funniest, cutest thing ever because I'm sure they probably do use it in the church.
Well, they don't actually, they do. So like I'm Catholic as well, and so like my
Go
most recent
figure.
experience at a church was my grandpa's funeral, and the priest actually went around with a lantern that had an incense brick in it.
Mhm.
And he goes around like this, and he swings it around. He goes through the
I think they
outside
do that
space,
at
and he like
Easter.
works his way into the middle and cleanses the space before they start. So yes, they do actually use it in the church. Absolutely, they do.
Mm-hmm. And
Absolutely.
there's a lot of smoke. Okay, we need to change
A
subject.
lot of smoke, a lot of rituals. Yeah, so funny. But yeah, that's so funny because
We're not getting religious here today. But yeah,
no, not today.
yeah. So it's really great for clearing space. I don't know. Anyway, but lots of people always ask me, how do I clear my house? Okay. And I don't know how you go
Right.
about it, Shannon. I feel like there really is no right or wrong way. I feel like it's all about the intention. Um,
Absolutely.
but I
Let's
always,
be real though, there are certain practices when you are talking about like indigenous practices on how to use sage or how to use sweetgrass and things like that as well. So there are practices that, if you really want to be authentic and as part of your lineage, then yes, there's practices that you can follow as well that are super helpful. But what you're saying is right. It's all about the intention, right? And setting that positive intention.
mhm. Well, and I always just encourage people that when they're doing it to really get in all the corners where there would be
Yes.
stagnant energy, all the corners, all
Oh
the
yeah,
nooks,
opening closets,
all,
drawers,
all the
under your
cupboards.
bed, under your couch,
Yeah.
like any little space where energy can hide or cycle through. And like I always do my closet because again, with your clothes, like shoes, things like that might be in your closet, like that have been out and about, jackets, whatever, like that's great to cleanse too. But yeah, I open everything basically and make sure you're opening a window in
Yes.
every room to
Hmm.
allow that negative energy somewhere to go, to
Hmm.
leave and invite it out. And
Yeah.
like I always work from the center and out, right? So I start in the center of a space and then work out. So if I'm in room, then I'll start in the center of the room and circulate the energy outwards to kind of push it away, right?
Hmm.
That's one of my practices that I use.
I think honestly, just opening the windows in your house and the doors and letting everything air out in itself is like I know I always feel so much better when I do that. I do it in the winter too because I'm just like I
I
can't. I need to
know.
like
When
let
we
some
have a good,
stuff
nice
out and
day,
fresh air in and
windows open.
yeah. Yeah. I don't care how cold it is in the house. I turn the furnace down. I'm like, we're just gonna freeze things out
Yes.
a little bit and then we'll warm it up again. Cause
But again, like this is a great way, like you were saying, when you don't have the tools, if you don't have
yes,
sage, you don't
exactly.
have anything like
Mhm.
that, you can use that and allow the natural elements of the wind and the air and the breeze to come through your home and cleanse any stagnant energy that's inside. So again, that's just another way that you can do it without having to have any specific tools to do so.
And
And
let's
you
be
set your
realistic.
intention.
Exactly. Let's be realistic. If you're feeling slumpish, heavy energy in your house, it needs to be cleared.
Yes.
If you're feeling like depressy or anxious or sad or whatever, you probably need to clear your house because there's probably some
Yeah.
stagnant energy there that needs to be like shifted and like cleared out.
Yeah. And like So cleansing your house too. One of the things that I know is great is when you're saging. They do say because it's antimicrobial, I believe, as well. So it's like it will attach itself to particles in the air and bacteria in the air, and it's heavy, so it will fall, right? So when you're saging and cleansing your house, and you really do want to do a full cleanse, you should sweep or vacuum afterwards to again remove any of that buildup that's been taken down, like, and the smoke has clung to it and it falls to the ground. You sweep it out. And then another thing is like, um, most people probably wouldn't want to do this, but sprinkling salt throughout your home. And you can add, it's like another thing, whereas this is going to be a good episode, but like different types of spells that you can do as well, like, and rituals that you can do. So adding things to the salt as well to not just clear, but to add positive things into it. So you would spread it around, like, you remember back in the day, like that carpet stuff that would smell good, like
Mm-hmm.
baking soda or Arm& and Hammer or stuff that
We'll
was
use baking
so
soda.
bad for you, so bad for you, but don't do that. But you could do baking soda and salt and like spread it around your home and then vacuum it up because again, you're cleaning and
Mm-hmm.
clearing the space
Sucking
and
everything up.
um, vacuuming up and then make sure you just remove whatever. Don't just leave it in your vacuum cleaner. Like make sure you actually get rid of it as well and move that energy from within your home. So take it outside. Don't just leave it in your vacuum or put it in your garbage can in your house. Like put it outside of your house too, right? And so I even do that stuff outside. I cleanse the outside of my house. I will go outside. Maybe people think I look like a little weird, but I'll be outside with my sage or my Palo Santo and my salt, and I will be cleansing, and then I use my salt for the protection lines. Because like you were saying, we both work from home. Okay, we don't know what people are bringing in. Not that like people are bringing horrible things into my space, but
No,
you
but they're
just don't
coming
know what kind
for
of
healing.
energy they have and what they're dealing with.
They're coming to us for healing, so they're bringing something with them,
Right.
right? And we're
Yeah.
here to help them transmute it. And so, yeah, they're
And
bringing
then we
something.
have to have our access point has to be
Exactly.
clear for them, right? I always clear my doorways before a client comes. I'll clear my front door so that when they come in, it's like setting that intention of like any negative energy be left on the stoop of my front door. And then I cleanse my front step afterwards and I cleanse my space after. But I always make sure to cleanse it before they come in. And I have my protection so that any negative energy attachments to any attachments they may have are not welcome into my space, right?
Well,
And so that's also really important when you're talking about the protection. When we were talking, that's part of your energetic hygiene, right? Is
mhm.
protecting your space. So if you are somebody who does have people come into their home quite often, it's a great way to just protect your space and make sure any sort of negative energies or lower frequencies are left at the door. And then I usually it's not, I've never had it like linger around my home either because you're outside. I feel like it's kind of like it will dissipate over
Mhm.
time. But yeah, I definitely think that that's a big thing when protecting your home or cleansing your home too. You want to not just cleanse it, but then do a protection afterwards and set that intention for your home to be protected and that how these lower frequencies and other energies aren't welcome in your space.
Yeah. And so like sometimes I will there's a couple things I wanted to talk about. Sometimes I will like literally like go around with like clearing and then go back with like some sort of like sweet incense or something to set the intentions for what I want in that room. Do you know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
in my living
Hmm.
room, I want like us to have connection and I want us to have peace and I want us to have fun and I want us, do you know what I mean? And like
Yes, positive
right,
affirmations.
or in my bedroom I want to be able to rest and I want to be able to um just like connect with myself and whatever else, do you know what I mean, whatever is
Hmm.
the intention for that room that you want to have, right? And I don't know if you said also about putting salt lines at your front door. Did you
Yeah,
talk
I do salt
about
lines like on my property lines, on my doorsteps, and think that's my little witchy thing that I do. That is very much like a witchy ritual that's very commonly used. And again,
it?
household items that everybody has access to
Yeah,
that you can
everybody's
use.
just
It
going to
doesn't have to
Costco
be
and buying salt.
specific. Everyone's like, oh, Himalayan salt or this salt or that salt. Any salt that you have is good enough. Like honestly.
There's going to be a shortage of salt right away. No.
Yeah.
Everybody's running out to buy salt now.
Okay, you need it, believe me. I have salt like in my bathroom because I have a little shelf for my um all my stuff for when I do my goddess baths and stuff like that. So I have a big jar of salt
Yep.
like in there because I use it all the time. And I use it to like I said, cleanse my energy, using it to wash my hands as well.
See, and I don't do the like I'll wash my hands, but I'll use my rose spray and I'll spray it on my hands because it has the salt in it, and then I'll just like rub them or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but what else was I gonna? Oh, the crystals. We talked about protecting the house or whatever with crystals, like placing tourmaline, black tourmaline
Hmm.
in all four corners of the
Yep.
house.
I
Um,
use selenite as well. Selenite's great for that as well.
so somebody told me to put selenite with the tourmaline, which I did because the selenite will keep clearing the tourmaline because it doesn't need to be
Oh,
cleared
that's
itself.
smart. Yeah. Yeah, selenite is called liquid light, and it's one of the crystals that doesn't really need to be cleansed. I still do sometimes, but I actually use my selenite wands to, and I have a charging plate as well that I use for cleansing and charging my crystals. So after a session, like I'll set them on my selenite plate to clear it or whatever. But yeah, they do say like placing on the four corners of your property line for protection or inside your home. Like if you can't put them outside, to put them in the four
Mhm.
corners of your space
Somebody
as
also
well.
said like burying them in the ground, like on your
Yep, that's what
property.
I do. Yeah.
But also coming back to the breath work thing, actually, lots of times if I'm not, like if I'm working away from home and I don't have selenite to clear my crystals, or I'm like working with my pendulums on clients back to back or whatever, I will literally use my breath to blow off the
Yeah.
crystal before I
Yeah.
use it on somebody else as well, right? So,
Yeah, and you can use water as well. A lot
mhm.
of times it's like
Yep,
just you can
yep.
take your crystals and put them underneath the tap and just like have that visualization again of it draining, clearing, and removing any sort of negative energies and then going down the drain. Just
Mhm.
don't drop them in your sink and lose them if they're small and tiny and you have a drain. Don't lose them down the drain. Just be very careful and mindful of that. But it is a great way to, cleanse and clear crystals or any items that are water safe because some crystals are not water safe, so just be aware of that as well. They will dissolve and so just be careful. Like selenite, do not put that in water.
Mhm. So let's talk for a minute about, because I know I've come across this question quite a few times or whatever from people. They're like, "Oh my God, my crystal broke. What do I do now?" Like they are like, "Oh my God," and it's actually done its job. That's what it did.
Yes.
Okay, because
Yep.
I actually remember I was like cleaning the house, checking on my crystals, and found one of my black tourmalines was broken, and I'm like,
And it was just
okay.
sitting there.
It was sitting there in the corner, broken.
Oh
And so I'm like,
wow.
it did its
See,
job.
I've heard that when crystals break like that, it's an energetic hit that it took for you,
Yes, it did its job,
right? And so it
right?
did its job. It took a big
It
hit for you,
took
and sometimes too
away.
they'll disappear. When people are like, I don't even know where it went. Like crystals will just disappear.
Mhm,
Same concept. It's done its job. It's served you. It's its purpose for you,
mhm.
and it's found its way either back to the earth or to someone else who might need it. Right?
Right, absolutely. And I always find though, like within that circumstance, I did return it back to the earth and replaced it, right?
Oh,
Um,
when it broke. Yeah.
mhm, mhm. But literally just sitting in the corner. I don't even know, like there's no possible way that it could have, somebody could have like broke it. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's pretty wild. To just like go to go pick it up and it's like already broken.
My sister actually gave me, it was actually, again, black tourmaline, but it was in the shape of an arrowhead. And it was in a box and I found it and it was pieces, like pieces. It's crazy.
Oh wow.
So,
That's pretty crazy.
hmm hmm
That's really wild though.
I
I've
know.
never had that. I think I've had like things break. For me, it's been like bracelets. where they just out of nowhere just like snap and break. Like some of them I've had for years, right? Never had an issue ever. And then there was other ones that I've had that just like snapped, broke right off of me. And I've had pendulums disappear. I lost a few pendulums actually, where they literally just disappeared on me. And I was like, never found them again. Like never, 5 years, and I've never found it. I'm like, how is this possible? Like it literally disappeared and went into thin air. Like what happened? Where did it go? And never to have seen it again.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
So because we are the witchy women that we are, and we've talked enough about dabbling with household items to help us with our energetic clearing, I want to get a little bit more woo here, because this summer I had quite the experience that I'd never had before. And like, I want to talk about like actually calling in other like energies and deities and all of that kind of stuff to help you with your like energetic protection and whatever else.
Yes.
You use, Shannon? But I just remember I had an instance this summer and I was like, I need more energetic protection on my house. I really do. And I was like sitting in the backyard the one night, and this is not long after I came back from the goddess retreat, where I really, really connected with Goddess Morrigan, because I work with the goddess all the time. Okay. So I really connected with Goddess Morrigan there, and I came home and I was like sitting in the backyard, and it was night, and I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm like, what do I need? Like, I'm just like, whatever, calling it in, right? Like, what do I need for this energetic protection and stuff? And immediately it was like, it was gargoyle energy. Okay.
Oh, right. I remember you talking
You
about
remember
that.
me telling you this? And it was like out of the heavens, and like on each corner of my house. And they were like, it was insane. Something I've talked about it with a couple of people, like something I'd never like experienced before in my life. But like Goddess Morrigan she's a dark fairy, right? She's from the fairy realm. And gargoyles are as well, right? Like with dragons and all of that kind of stuff, right? And so it's like, actually, I think we should talk about that too. And it was, they're still there, and I've never had any problems since. But when you think about it, like how many castles and whatever else you go to, and there's like these giant big gargoyles, like,
oh, for sure, yes,
structures sitting there. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
it's crazy. But what did I say? Oh, dragons. We are in the year of the dragon. Okay. And I was just talking with some lovely ladies this morning about dragon energy, because it's like a big thing this year, right? And how we each have dragons, and we really need to start using them more. We need to start calling on our dragons, and we can use them for energetic clearing as well, because you can ask them to like burn away
and protection.
It is, and protection, anything it is that you need in order to like cleanse and clear your energy, or like, yeah, like you said, protection or whatever else to be with you when you're like maybe feeling unsafe, or maybe because like that happened to me this summer too, and I just like called in my dragon, and it was just like, you know what I mean? And so like, we are these witchy wild women. Like, why are we not using this stuff? Like, why are we not? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we should talk about that.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people don't really know too much either about like the dragon and gargoyles. Honestly, Sean, like I had never even thought of that, and I had never even heard that concept before either. Like that was so new to me when you brought that up. Like, it makes complete sense though. It makes complete sense though when you think about like what you said about it. Like you think about all those you know, structures and buildings and architecture where churches and other different places that have these gargoyles perched on the tops and corners of these buildings for protection. And so people have been doing it for centuries. Like people, and it's so interesting that you brought that up, because I actually have never heard anybody else talk about gargoyles before in the space of like protection or spirit guides or spirit animals, or like, you know what I mean? Like all of those different things. And that was the first time I heard, but it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. And so it's kind of intriguing. I'm actually going to probably after this, I'm gonna look into the history of gargoyles now because
Right?
like even think about this show back. I know this is so strange, but when we were kids, that show, the gargoyles, like that's what they were. They were the protectors.
Oh my God, I have to
Do
go
you
look up.
remember that?
Where yes, I
Do
do
you remember
remember. I
that
was
show?
pumped. I'm like, I
Right?
have to go and look it up now. Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna look into that. That's so, see, even between us, like we still learn from each other all the
yeah,
time. I'm always
all the
learning
time. We're
something
still
new. Like
learning, always
you
learning.
don't know everything and all things, and you're more connected to the dragon energy than I am. And not everybody's going to understand it or connect with it, and it might not be for you. Your connection might be something else. It might be goddesses, it might be angels, because again, this is another thing, like people think because we're witches that we don't believe in angels and we don't believe in God and we don't believe in other energies like that. But that's just not realistic, right? So, one of the protections that I call on for clearing and protection is Archangel Michael. Like, that one's a very common one that most people would feel comfortable using right away off the bat if you're
Mhm.
not connected to the more intense and mm, mystical, magical beings like dragons, gargoyles, or even goddesses, right? If you're not familiar, a lot of people are familiar with Archangel Michael. So again, that's a great way to just like open that line for you with spirit if you're so called to do so. That's um a great way to call in protection or to help him cut cords and disconnect energy from
Yeah,
other people as well. So
yeah,
also cutting cords, yeah, that's another one we didn't touch on, but cutting cords is another great way to protect your energy and clear your energy as
mhm.
well. Like guys, there's so ladies, I'll say, witches, there's so many different ways for you to cleanse and clear your energy. Like I don't even think we could touch on all the different aspects of it at this point. Like there's just so many different options. So always like do your research, also trust your intuition and whatever you feel like comes up for you. It doesn't have to be from the books, it doesn't have to be specific like that or so, you can't like, oh, I don't have that thing and I don't use that. I don't blah blah blah. Like find your own ways then. Find your own connections
Yeah,
to cleansing and clearing, whatever is comfortable for you. There's no right or wrong. And I think you said that earlier in this podcast is that there's no right or wrong way to do it,
so
right?
here's the
You
thing.
do want to be careful, but use your intuition. Be guided.
Absolutely. Well, because, and we touched about this in another podcast about how, like, we all have our own special gifts. So it's like, what are you
Yes.
called to do? Shannon and I are just here to inspire you guys and give you ideas and allow you to, like, run rampant with it, right? If
Right.
anything, we want you
Yes.
to, like, tap into your intuition, right? And start
Mm-hmm.
connecting with that witchy side of yourself so that you can, like,
Yeah.
use your gifts on a daily basis, however that is called to you. We just give you the ideas and the examples and everything else, right?
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
I said, I mean, even for me, like I still learn from you. Like I don't know everything about everything, right? And
Oh,
so
and
even just
neither
you
do I.
talking about your experience has inspired me to be like, oh, that's so interesting. And it triggered something in me that wants me to like really start digging deeper into different things that I've not explored before. And that's the fun part about this kind of community that we're starting and like having
Absolutely.
friends like you and having sisterhood, like having a sisterhood with you is that, we learn and we feed off of each other's experiences. And
Yeah.
whether or not because like I said, you're more so connected to that dragon energy as well than I've experienced. It is something I'm learning to work with a little bit more and reaching out into that field and into that plane, I guess you
Mhm.
could say. And having somebody, if we didn't have conversations and you were just like thought you were just like, oh well, I'm weird, I've never really heard anybody talk about gargoyles before, and then you never said anything about it, like you don't know who you're reaching by actually talking about it. And
Right.
it might sound strange,
I
but
know.
honestly that's also the best part about being a witch is that, like, again, this, what do we say, like living unapologetically, right, in this society right now that we're in. It's like fun to get to be yourself and really like let yourself connect with things that might be a little bit strange to other people,
Yeah,
but it's very comfortable for you. Like,
exactly.
you know what I mean? Like I
I'm
and
always
and
putting the mold on everything.
And you're living unapologetically to the
Yeah.
point where you can share that experience with me and with other people and inspire us to dig a little deeper into what our things are, right? Like what is my connection? What is my like for me, my very first goddess that I ever connected with when I started my journey was Kuan Yin. Um,
Beautiful.
and she's a little bit more soft and
Hmm.
compassionate, but she also is like take no shit. Like
Yep.
there's compassion there, but there's also like, yeah, but you have the power to do what it is that you want to do. So it's a little bit of that motherly compassion where, you know, your mom's not just going to let you sit and cry. She's going to be like, okay, it's time to get up and dust yourself off and get going here. Like,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
um, and so she does have a little bit more of a gentle approach, but she is very powerful as well. That was like, I was going through a lot at that time with my grief, so I think that's why she really came through for me at that time. And since then, it's been more like Hecate is like my goddess that I work with quite a bit. And Bastet by Bast as well is like a goddess that I work with a lot too, with the protection especially. Um, but it's really about like your own personality and like your own deeper knowing and having things come through and trusting that that's what it is. Like when you were talking about the Morgan, like as well. I've actually been hearing so much about her lately. So many clients, like one of my clients just the other day reached out to me and was just like, I found my goddess. I know it's like, this is who's coming through for me. And of course, it was the Morgan. And I was just like, this is the fourth time this has come up for me now.
Well, maybe that's something
So
you
that
need
was
to
a
do.
sign for me. Yes, right? This was
So,
a sign for me. And then you just said it now. So that's 5 times in a
okay.
week
So the
that I've
funny thing
had this come up.
that you brought up Hecate, because I literally just pulled a card and it was Hecate before, like, this morning. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
Not that I haven't
amazing.
worked with Hecate before because I've worked with like lots of different goddesses, but like I
Yeah,
do know what you
yeah.
mean about um like Kuan Yin, and like I work with my three main ones are always Kalima because she's like ruthless. She's the liberator. She's
Mm-hmm.
like taking no shit from anybody. Like
Yep, yep.
she's here to
Death, destruction, rebirth. Yeah.
so, and Isis. Isis actually was the very first one that I worked with,
Yeah, I've
and
never worked with ISIS.
um Kuan Yin. And I work with her as
Mm-hmm.
well. And she has a very soft energy. But I think the whole point of the like this goddess energy, this like feminine energy, is that it's embracing our softness, it's embracing our femininity, and we can be soft, but we still don't have to take any shit from anyone. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? And holding
Yeah, and
firm
it's
on that
about like, yeah, and
with,
being like connecting to your power.
yes, without it being like abrupt and fearful and strong. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm always like, it's a
Yeah.
presence. It's a presence. It's an embodiment.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people, when they
Mm-hmm.
come to talk to you, know that like they're not going to get away with that, right?
Yep.
You're not,
Yep.
that's a boundary you're not going to want to cross. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it, to me, it's like, it is, and it's an energetic embodiment. And I feel like when you've worked on that for so long that people do pick up on it. So there's your energetic hygiene
Mm-hmm.
as well, right? Protecting your
Yeah.
energy to the point that like people know that they can't come at you with that shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people too, I think it's important to know like these gods and goddesses and angels and spirit guides and higher self, like they cannot step in without your permission as well. Like they you need to ask. So that's why it's super important for you to when you're working with these deities, gods, goddesses, that you remember that they want to help you, right? And they want to offer the protection, but they cannot step through without your ask first.
No.
So it could be so small, but people, you know, I think a lot of people find it hard because they're like, well, I'm not important enough, or this isn't important enough. It's not valuable enough. It's like, why would they come to me? Why would they this? Why would they that? I've had clients, you know, come through and they were in that scarcity mindset that they're or worthy, like their worthy wound, their worth is like they're not worthy of having these supports in their life, right? It's like what's so amazing about me? All of us are amazing, okay? Everybody is powerful, everybody is magical, everybody is special, okay, in their own way. but you do want to work with gods and goddesses like that, you do have to allow that space for them to step into your space, and they will. So if you ask, be prepared. Like,
Yeah.
be prepared, especially some of the goddesses like you're talking about, like Hecate too. Like, if you're gonna work with these goddesses, like, you better be prepared. So make sure you're, you know, in a space where you're ready to receive the kind of intense responses that can come through as well. And because they can come through hard and they can come through strong. So just be prepared with that as well. Like, don't take it willy-nilly. And be very, very sure about what it is you're asking. Because they say, what is that saying? Like, be careful what you wish for, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And just like make sure you're actually like
Yep.
using your words and asking very clearly with intent about what it is you want them to protect you from, or what it is you want them to help manifest for you in your life,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
so if you're going to be doing that, just make sure you know what it is that you're asking too, because they will step in fiercely and unapologetically
Well, and
and will not hold back.
no, they won't hold back. It's like and that was the one goddess I think with Kalima that I work with, because it's like when you said like make sure that you're ready for them to help you with your life and transform things, because like it can feel like absolute chaos at times. It can
Yes.
feel like
Yes.
everything's falling
Which
apart,
is the ultimate feminine energy.
right? Is chaos.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that sounds bad, but it's
I
not. It's
know.
actually not.
It's like constructive chaos. Like we're taking care
Yes,
of business,
constructive chaos.
right? We're taking no
Absolutely.
names
Hmm.
and like you wanted, I'm guarantee that if you're here listening to our podcast, it's because you want transformation and you want something different in your life, and
Yeah.
you're looking for
But you
answers.
better be ready to be
You better be
accountable as
ready. You
well.
better be ready.
You got to be very self-accountable because, like I said, these goddesses, they don't mess around. So when you're
No.
ready to start working with deities and goddesses like that, you have to be accountable because it's going to always come back to you first. Okay, so as much as you want it to be like protecting you, like other people and other situations, and maybe you're in the right and things like that, they don't really care about that.
No.
They don't care about that. You're going to get the down dirty truth about yourself, you know? And so
Mhm.
you better be ready to accept and be accountable for your own actions, your own thoughts, feelings, emotions, and, you know, because they will show you yourself.
Janet coming back to the like, check yourself before you leave the house.
Yeah. Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
You better check yourself first.
Yeah,
Do
check
you?
yourself. Make sure. Yeah, because it's, you know what? It's not always fun
No.
to have people tell you about yourself, right? Like that
No.
hurts. Sometimes it's hard to hear, even when if it's like your best friend, like that's hard to hear. It's hard to hear it sometimes because, again, back to like what I was saying about the staging and cleansing, sometimes it's you, girl. Sometimes it's you. So you might be calling in these goddesses and these deities thinking it's going to help you on the outside and the people around you, and they're going to be like, and they're going to zoom right in
In
and
your
focus
world.
on you.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
do you
it's
know what?
like we're going to start here.
We do start here because if we don't change our inner world, our outer world cannot shift,
No,
right? So
no, it
sometimes
cannot.
it feels like the tower is crumbling inside, and all you can do is
Yes.
like let the Jenga blocks fall.
Yeah, and they will make sure you get that tower moment. Okay, they will make sure you have that tower moment where it's like the foundation you thought was stable is no longer, safe for any structure. So we have to take the structure down. We have to deconstruct so we can rebuild. So, you just have to be aware of that when you are deciding to work with some of these energies to call things in or to clear things out that, you think you're like, oh, I need to clear this person out of my space and cut cords with this person. And you realize like a whole bunch of shit in your life just starts falling apart. And you're like, I didn't ask for that. It's like, yeah, you did. You weren't as specific though. So we're gonna work with everything here, right? And so that's why I said be careful what you ask for and make sure your intention is like in alignment with what it is you're looking to have, like looking to accomplish by calling with these
Well,
goddesses and gods and deities.
part of that is releasing the control of how you think it's going to look like and or how it's supposed to go as well, right?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
you've just
Yeah.
surrendered. when you're working with these deities, these goddesses, these angels, these whatever, you've just surrendered total trust and belief in them that they're going to deliver to you what you need, but you can't control it. You want to,
No,
but you cannot,
no, you
right?
cannot
And
control
that
what
is
comes through.
sometimes the hardest thing, is to just surrender and just be like, okay,
They will strip you down to bare bones.
you like, we should probably just like reel it in a little bit. Nobody's going to want to do it right away.
No, you should do it. Everybody should have, I mean, at that point, when you're ready, at that point, just know, like, you're going to have some real eye-opening moments about yourself, right? And just,
Yeah,
it's just important to be prepared for that, because I honestly, nobody told me that, right?
right.
I was starting this journey on my own, and at that time when I was starting to do this stuff, there was not a lot, like I wasn't seeing a lot of people opening up about stuff like that too. So
Nobody wants to
I
talk
think it's
about the
important.
journey. They only want to talk about the destination,
And the positives that come from it. But it's like
right?
you have to remember that it's going to be a difficult
Mm.
road sometimes. And it's
Yeah.
not, it's important to just be aware of that too, and not to only sit in the, like, everything's just going to be okay, because that's not reality. Okay, we are still living on Earth. We are still human beings, and this is kind of just like part of the process, right? And so if you're not seeing destruction, you're not doing the work.
No,
Like
I've
if
been.
you're not seeing a breakdown of old systems, beliefs, um, self, like even for self, like you really do have to break down. That's why I said, I'm sorry, it sounds a little intense, but break you down to bare bones, because you, like, it's not going to be all pretty light flowers and rainbows, or what does they say? It's all sunshine and rainbows, or
Unicorns.
it's unfortunately it's not. So just be
Not at
prepared
all.
for that. And it's a
But it,
beautiful thing,
do you know what
okay?
the beautiful thing
There's
is,
beauty
though?
in it.
There usually is a rainbow after the storm,
Absolutely.
right?
Always.
Getting through the storm. And I don't know about you, but
Yes.
I've been humbled many a times.
Yes, yes. They will humble you. They will humble you and, like, break down that ego for sure.
Yeah. So, do we want to pull some cards?
Yes.
Do you want to start, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I'll start.
Okay.
See what we have today. I'm still using my Earth Magic deck because, like, I'm not a big tarot
That's
buyer,
okay.
but
That's okay.
this is my favorite deck to use because,
Yeah.
again, where it's like talking about like being connected to the elements, to the earth, and to nature.
And we've
Like
been
that's
talking
super
about lots of
important, right?
elements today.
Yeah, yeah. So let's see. Let's pull a card for the collective. What message do we want to hear today? What message do we need to hear today? Oh my God. The autumn equinox release. Do you see
Ooh.
that? Or is it too shiny
Yes.
with my ring
No,
light
it's
there?
okay. I
Do
can
you
see
see
it. It's
that?
beautiful.
How perfect is that? Oh, that could
Mhm.
not be more on point. Right? Because like autumn, as we all know, like that is when the biggest release is for um like letting things go and shedding the old, and protecting yourself as well, because why, like when you think about fall and the trees and the leaves falling, it's because the trees are releasing because they need to reserve energy
Yeah.
to survive, right, through the winter and through that cold. So okay, in many areas of the world, deciduous trees prepare for the winter and conserve their energy by contracting their life force, like I just said. That is, they release their leaves, which have required the rays of the sun and nourishment from the earth in order to maintain robust growth and appearance. It's not a decision the trees make, at least not in the usual sense. Instead, it's a natural response to the decreasing cycle of light that sets up the gradual and steady release of the tree's leaves. How remarkable it is that these trees, and for that matter, all of Earth's mother's children, simply know what to do with the changes in climate. Although the seasonal shift appears to be a death of sorts, It's only a preparation for the next cycle of life, one that will naturally follow the more extreme contractions of winter as an aspect of life, death, rebirth cycle that we find represented in so many different ways, which is so interesting because I was literally just talking about that when I was saying, like, when you're working with the goddesses and stuff and the destruction that comes, like, beauty is to come after. So it's like, as as scary as that sounds, but you do have to break it down to the bare bones so that you can make that transformation and withhold the strength to make it through difficult times sometimes. So the message is, now is the time to let anything in your life fall away that is no longer useful or needed for the emerging expression of who you are. Allow yourself to gradually shed what has become burdensome and no longer congruent with your soul's purpose. Conserve your energy by allowing yourself more rest while at the same time making preparations for the winter season. Look especially at your material possessions and be brutally honest with yourself as you discern which of these can be given away or somehow released. Consider shedding relationships that have served their purpose and are no longer viable, as well as work or a job that has become devoid of interest and passion. With release comes a sense of being and being much lighter, just like the trees that openly bear their nakedness once their leaves have departed and give room for whatever new life is ready to birth following a period of quiet and gestation. So let go of whatever has outlived its purposefulness and trust that something else will take its place. That is so on point
That was
for what we
perfect.
just talked about. And
That was
especially because like today is about cleansing and clearing and
yeah.
releasing, right? So it
So
couldn't be more on point, especially we're in fall right now.
well, and we've had an extended fall. Like we've had an
Yes.
extremely long fall, but because we have had so much stuff we've had to let go of. Like
Oh,
so
for
much stuff
sure.
we've had to let go of.
Yes.
We're in Scorpio
In the
season.
collective, right?
Yes, in a collective, right? Scorpio season is all about death and rebirth. It's all about the transformation. It's all
Hmm.
about shedding
Hmm.
those aspects of yourself so that you can like step into this like new awakened energy, right? But one thing that stood out to me when you were talking about, and this is also energetic hygiene, is us holding on to things from the past that really are not serving us. Like, I don't know, maybe clothes that don't fit anymore,
Yep.
or
Like, yeah, you haven't worn them in years, but you're like, I love this dress. So you hold
right.
on to it forever, thinking one day, one day, one
Yeah,
day.
no, not one day. Like, no. Or things from like you when you said relationships, I'm like maybe things from past relationships you're holding on to that you're like, no, just
Hmm.
throw it in the garbage, like get rid of it, donate it,
Hmm.
whatever, right? Like all of those kind of things that are
Oh,
just
you mean like physical
taking,
items,
yeah,
like
well,
physical
both,
items from a
and like
relationship.
emotionally, mentally, physically, whatever. Um, but like, what else was I gonna say? Now I got distracted. Um, just stuff that's taking up space in your house that you don't need anymore. Like it's
Hmm.
literally taking up space. If it's taking up physical space, it's taking up energetic space.
Right. And I
And that
think
was,
too, with this season of shedding and releasing, it's a great time to, like it said, go through your stuff and say, like, what is this serving me? Why do I still have this? Like, you might have had it for years and it's just like sitting, or even like maybe you did do a little decluttering and you have a pile of like stuff that you wanted to take to the Goodwill, but you have it and it's just been sitting there.
mhm,
That is an energetic,
mhm,
stagnant energy that's sitting there that you've meant to release, but you haven't fully released. So it's still sitting there,
yeah.
holding space, taking up space in your life to be released, right?
Mhm. Um, the whole like I've been called to like what I was, would call classify as spring cleaning. I've actually been like doing a lot of that, like cleansing and purging and all of that right now because yeah, it's just like needing to let go of all of these things that are just like literally taking up space and you don't need them. And one thing that I loved to is when and I think I feel like it's like a feng shui thing or something, but it's like if it doesn't bring you joy, why do you have it?
Right.
I mean, if those pair of pants that don't fit you anymore aren't bringing you joy, why are you keeping them?
Yeah. Yep. Because it's leaving you in an emotional cycle too, in a
Yeah.
psychological cycle of like the past and a version of yourself that doesn't exist anymore too.
Mm-hmm. That's your
And
old self.
and also it just like makes you feel bad about yourself sometimes because you're like, oh, well, I don't fit in this anymore and da da da. It's like I think it's important to let go of things that just don't align with the woman that you are today. And that's okay. Like I think it's important to let go. I think that was one big part of my journey too when I started my journey to my like through self-confidence and my worthiness was I need to get rid of all these clothes that I kept that I was like, I'm hoping that one day I'll fit into them again. And it's like, even when I did, I was like, this doesn't suit me anymore. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't even suit my personality anymore. It doesn't even like, I don't feel right in it anymore. So again, like letting go of that kind of stuff too is like important to make room for the new version that's birthing that you're working so hard to become, right? You got to make space for that version of yourself to exist. Look at that big gap in your closet and be like, we're going to fill this with something new, things that I love, things that make me feel good about myself, right?
But you said it right there. You're like, I don't fit in. You're like, I
Hmm.
don't fit in these clothes. And so it's like rediscovering, where do I fit in? What feels more energetically aligned for me in so many different aspects. But so
Yeah,
I was
beautiful,
told
beautiful message.
actually to use the Angels and Gemstones Guardian card
Ooh.
today, which I have not used in a really, really long
Oh.
time, but they're so divinely guided because we talked about angels and crystals today. So
Yeah, we did.
let's see.
We're multifaceted witches over here, okay? We work with a lot of different
We do.
deities and different energies, and we're open to all things, and that
Hmm.
is okay.
Okay, so here's the thing. Oh my gosh. It says the angel of comfort. Okay, so here's the affirmation. It says, I
Mhm.
allow myself to feel my feelings and express them through my physical and mental actions. Okay, tears flow easily and I am releasing pent up emotions. I am able to let go. I am comforted and I am at peace. One thing that we did not touch on for energetic hygiene and energetic clearing was crying, and
Oh,
how
see, that card needed to come
therapeutic,
through.
how therapeutic
Yes,
and necessary that is,
and
and
natural.
releasing, right? And how many times we like stifle our tears when really we
Hmm.
need to let them out, right?
Hmm.
And so it says, are you grieving the loss of someone or something? Okay, lots of the times what we're grieving are past versions of ourselves that are no longer here, like we
Oh,
were
so
talking
true, so
about,
true.
right? Says, feel the grief and allow yourself to cry. Release the toxins from your body, mind, and emotional being. Comfort and peace are close at hand. Focus your attention on your desired outcome, right? We were talking about what is your desired outcome. Be specific on that,
Hmm.
right? Um,
Yes.
Two things actually that I was like, I didn't share um, during our conversation, but they're still coming up to the forefront. We were talking about dealing with or not dealing with, working with angels. And you had mentioned Archangel Michael. And for whatever reason, Archangel Raphael is
I came
was
through too, and I didn't say it.
coming through. Was coming
Yes.
through. Well, and I don't even really work with angels a lot unless I know that that person that I'm working with, that's what they resonate with, right? So
Hmm.
Archangel Raphael is heart healing. And I
Yes.
feel like there is a lot of grieving and a lot of heart healing going on in the collective right now as we are transitioning from this age of, or the Piscean age, to this age of Aquarius.
Hmm.
And it's mostly like, you know, past things that can't come with us, past our past selves that we don't even recognize or
Hmm.
identify as anymore, kind of thing. And
Hmm.
we're bringing in this, like, it's this like almost also fear of the unknown, right? That a lot of
Right.
people
Yes.
have been struggling with because we don't know what's going to happen or whatever else. And all we can do is just like come back to our heart space, come back to yourself, come back
Hmm.
and Call on like I'm saying, call on Archangel Raphael right now, if that's what you need
Mm-hmm.
for healing
Mm-hmm.
and peace, and
Yeah, because
focusing
he's the healer
on,
too,
yeah,
right?
focusing on the color green. We are needing a lot of healing in the collective right now. I have like goosebumps. So I'm just like, we're just like gonna call him in right now for all of us. And sending that, like, if you're
Mm-hmm.
listening, just sending that love, like tap your heart space, send love out to the collective. Because we're all doing our own job, right? That's all a part of
Yes.
own. When we heal our own grief, when we heal our own heart space, then that is reflected to the world around us. And that um,
So
I when I
beautiful.
actually whatever what did I come across the other day? It was like when you do your own inner healing, that is reflected out to thousands of people around you. Okay, it's not, and that's why your
Yes.
inner healing is so important, because it's the frequency. It's your loving
Right.
frequency that is transmuting that heavy energy around you, and that's why our energetic hygiene is so important, right? So,
Well, I was reading, I pulled a
mm,
card for myself yesterday, and let me just see if it's in here. I really want to share this. I think it might be
yeah.
love. Um, but it said something about the frequency of the heart
Hmm.
center, and I just found it so interesting. So I just love to share that with everybody a little bit here first before. So it says like the heart is a giver, putting out electrical energy, and a receiver, drawing in magnetic energy. So these energies are best sensed by attending to the steady flow of your breathing, like we talked about, right?
Right.
Um, but where's the part where it says, okay, so it says, studies by the Heart Math Institute reveal that the electrical signals from the heart are up to 60 times stronger than the brain's, and the magnetic field as much as 5,000 times more powerful than the brain. So actually, like what you were saying, when you're emitting that energy from your heart space, it's actually stronger. So when you're setting intentions, when you're sending out energy or anything like that coming from your heart space, coming from your heart center, it's actually 60 times stronger than when you're actually just thinking it, right? So that's like a feeling too. So
Hmm.
when you're feeling that in your heart space, so like you were saying about like sending out those frequencies, the the frequencies are actually 5,000 times stronger than just your thoughts and thinking positive thoughts, right? So it's like if you're feeling it in your heart and you're really allowing that into your space, your heart space, and holding that space for yourself or for anybody else, um, you're more likely to reach out more and further frequencies. Like the heart is the strongest emitter in our bodies of frequencies. Isn't that fascinating? I found that fascinating
It is,
personally.
it's amazing, honestly, because and that's why lots of people, when I tell them, you know, I have this like sticky relationship with gratitude. Okay. I think gratitude is amazing. But I think as kids, one thing I remember being told was like, you should be grateful. You should be grateful. Right. And I can just remember that. And I've like cleared it and whatever else. But like, I always feel that if I can focus on things that I love more than I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful for, um,
Mm-hmm.
that it raises my energetic, like, or well, frequency higher
Your
than if I'm
vibration,
just
yeah,
feeling
raises your
gratitude.
vibration.
If I can be like,
Absolutely.
I really love this interaction with you guys today, or I really love the beautiful weather that we're having, or whatever, that I find that like that resonates with me more than just being like, I'm so grateful that we've had a warm fall. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
it just
Yes.
doesn't feel the same, right? So, and I know love
Yes.
is a higher frequency than gratitude. And so I really encourage people to just be like, I'll go for walks and I'll be like, oh my God, I love that person's planter, or I love that person's like vehicle color, or I love, or whatever, like just so that you're just like spreading it everywhere. Right. And when you focus on
Mm-hmm.
what other people think, if you're trying to manifest and you're focused on, something that another person has that you actually want and desire, and you're showing love towards that, that draws that in towards you, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
And what I
Totally.
think is like, I don't know. I've used it. And if actually, I'm going to tell you one thing, one book that I've read that is like been very life changing. I've read it multiple times. And it is what is it called now? The Power, I think is what it's called. And it all focuses on love and maintaining that frequency and how you can transmute and shift things in your life by just focusing on love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. I love that. It's so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Look at these messages today. Was
I
that
know we're
everything?
just
Was
like
that
we're
everything
like
for your
way
message?
over time today. So
Oh, we are. We got all chatty with it today, but
so
that's
much
okay. I
more
love it. I
like
love
just
it.
touching space on
I
it.
could sit here and talk to you all day about stuff
Well,
like
we'll
this.
still continue the conversation, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
okay, so well, yeah, thank you again for another amazing episode, and to all you listeners for your feedback and just just listening in general. Like Shannon and I just love doing this for you guys and love being able to share our wisdom and like learn from each other and all of that kind of stuff. So
Yes. And we've gotten so much lovely feedback
mhm.
from a lot of our own clients who are followers now and listeners. We appreciate, we love you so much. We love your feedback. So keep continuing to reach out to us and, commenting on our podcast and commenting on the YouTube channel and everything like that. And make sure you're sharing with your friends and
Yeah.
listening with them, and it can spark conversations for you guys as well. And we are always open to you reaching out and asking questions or have topics. Again, like we've always mentioned, like definitely reach out if you have things that you want us to talk about, because we would love to interact with you guys and really start to touch on some things that maybe you have questions about, or you're interested in, or you're curious about. Like, please do reach out and let us know, and we will try and add it into our long list of amazing things we want to talk about, because every episode we always are like, oh, that would be a good episode. So we write it down. And I know you guys, we're not really like the kind of podcast where we sit and plan like every little detail, and it's not curated that way. We really are just two girls, two witches sitting here, witchin' sisters, hanging out, chatting about things that interest us, things that come up in our life as they come up. So it's organized chaos over here. Okay, so I hope you guys are enjoying
That's
it though, and you enjoy sitting and spending time with us, because we love doing this for you. And we're really not just doing it for you, we're doing it for ourselves, because we didn't have this kind of stuff to watch and look out for when we were starting our journeys. And we're just very playful people. As much as we're serious and some of the topics can be serious, it's also just about having fun and exploring yourself and exploring your witchy side. And I just hope you guys are enjoying it as much as we're enjoying doing it and bringing this to you guys.
yeah, yeah, and sharing, yeah, just to inspire
Yeah.
everybody. That's really what it's about, right? So that we
Yeah, and as you know, she just inspired me today. I'm going to be going to look
you
up some
inspire me.
gargoyle stuff after this.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for another amazing episode, and until next week. And so it is.
And so it is.